So I think during my internship really just taught me like, real life, man, real life. It taught me that in order for you to really accomplish the things you want to accomplish, you have to really work towards them, And I think it also just taught me the real side of the art industry, because we always assume that, as artists, all you need to do is have a great concept.
Hey, what's good, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's Yogi here, and I have amazing news for you. We're meeting our first creator on the African Techno YouTube channel. His name is Masonwabe Ntloko. He's an incredible designer and illustrator. So we get to hear more about his story as a creative person, how he was able to build a business out of that, and how he's been really able to grow his brand as a creator. This is part one of the whole entire interview. I will leave part 2 down in the description below and also link it at the end of this video. What you have to do is stay tuned, drop a like on this video, and also subscribe to the channel. Okay, let's get into the video.
Okay. Good morning.
Hi, how are you? Are you okay now?
Yeah, no. Life is better now. Life is better.
Can you tell us like a bit about yourself, your journey as a creator, how you've been basically like able to build a career out of creativity?
The truth is, I won't lie to you. I've always known I'd be doing what I'm doing today. How I'm doing it, just obviously because I grew up in a very small town where like resources were limited. I don't have an art background, so I didn't know all these things. I just knew I was going to be an artist. Like when I figured out I could draw, I knew I was going to be an artist, and this is probably like grade 2, grade 3. And also it was one of those things where you're trying something new out and you become like this. I'm not going to say better than everyone, but you're so good that it's like, yo, and you've literally been doing this for like a week or 2. And I'm like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Worked on that for like throughout my high school, like throughout my primary high school life. Obviously, with those things, you have to take into consideration the stuff that you go through. I was a smart kid growing up, but obviously the moment you are a smart kid academically, everyone wants you to do that. No one really understood this art thing. Everyone thought this art thing was like a waste of time, waste of money, Tried to go to an art school after grade 7. My parents were like, nah. But obviously I understood where they were coming from, because if you really think about it, because my mom explained it, she was like, yo, what if we take you to an art school and you go study like history and maths lit and all those things, and then in grade 12, all of a sudden you want to be a doctor? What happens then?
Oh yeah.
So because of that, just like, yo, just go study like science. So I did like science, maths, physics, geo, life sciences. Yes, life science. And I'm not gonna lie, high school was a breeze for me. Like, I was one of those people who didn't even I didn't put in effort in academics, but I passed very well, And I put in effort, I would have probably been number 1, but I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And I knew if I study this very well, I'm going to get a bursary to go do engineering. We don't want that. Fast forward, varsity, right? Varsity, obviously coming into varsity, like I said, I come from my high school, JS Senior Secondary School. So John Shubasi Senior Secondary School. So you already know. We didn't have computers in school, We had RTP. It's one of those schools, like there's nothing there. So when I get to varsity, there's these crazy things, Photoshop, Illustrator. I don't even know how to really use a computer. I have an idea. I don't really like. I know how to go to Start at this time, right? Start. I think accessories, like those stuff, man, that you did, but to go to Word, to go to Paint, to go to PowerPoint, those are the only things I knew. So I get to the school, and everyone is just like doing crazy things, bro, that I've never seen. People are talking about Photoshop. Even this drawing that I thought I was good at, these kids have been taught this thing from a very young age. Now you're being told about how to.
So Manje, when you go to varsity, like, did you immediately go for an art course?
Yeah. Obviously, I had a bit of a fight with my parents. My mom wanted me to do civil, but she respected my wishes, for lack of a better word. My dad didn't really care about all of this because all he wanted me to do was law. Because I ask a lot of questions, and my dad was like, "Yo, go do law, go do architecture, go do engineering. I don't care about this art thing."
Yeah.
So I had a lot of convincing to do. And my dad wasn't really sold, I won't lie, like wasn't really sold throughout the whole thing. I think things started making sense for him when I started creating my own things, and he started seeing, like, yo, this could be a thing. This needs a bit of patience. So varsity did that, quickly learned though, like quickly got on my feet, learned, understood things. And I think I got more clarity on what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it and whatnot. For someone who grew up where I grew up, who lived the life I lived, who did all the things I did, it doesn't make sense for me to be here today having this conversation with you about what I'm talking to you about. I don't know if that makes any sense. This thing that I wanted, I also didn't know what it was, right?
Yeah,
so now you can imagine, I don't know what it is. And there's people who really just don't get it. I also sort of kind of like, and you spend most of your life trying to really fit in, because when you start talking about things that you're passionate about, everyone finds you weird. Everyone finds you, So after that, what did we do? So moved to Joburg. Did my internship at Makosa by Laduma. This is 2017, if I'm correct. Yes, 2017, if I'm correct. I'm not done with school at this time. I've promised my parents that I'm going to do school and this internship thing at the same time. Obviously, I was lying. I stopped school. I had gotten to a point where I felt like I had learned everything that I needed to learn from school. Obviously, at the time, I wasn't really aware of how expensive life was. Just in your life, just existing. If you're not a student. When as a student, there's a lot of things you don't really appreciate. Things like Wi-Fi,
dude.
Things like, like you're paying, let's say you're paying $2,000 a month, for rent, and there's a bed, there's a kitchen, there's literally everything. You don't buy furniture as a student. So now when you get into the real life, these things hit you. And when they hit you, now you don't understand. You think life is unfair. Now you have to go back home. I think after I did my collab with Yogi, because I did packaging for Yogi last year, I think now it was like, oh, here's a tangible thing. I can say, yo, my son did this, because a lot of the things that I did were very concept driven, private show driven. So the public never really got to experience my work. I think that was the first time they actually really experienced it. Obviously, this is outside the music industry, where I do like creative direction, album cover designs, and all of those things, right? So, and my mom doesn't know what an album cover is, or nor does she really care about it, So if I say, yo, I worked with Uma Figizolo, she doesn't really get it. Really, I think, sort of kind of pushed it to try and understand things, because you can hear, like, from conversations now that this person is really interested in what you do and is asking. Like, for example, when I did my show Saturday, my mom was there, I didn't have to invite her. It was just a thing of, oh, you want to come? I was like, yo, this is what I'm doing. So like, oh, okay, when should I arrive? And this is someone's coming from the Eastern Cape. So now it's really just gotten to a point. But my mom's always supported me, though. I won't lie.
Yeah. you did your internship with Maxhosa and you did both school, right? You did school as well. So you did the both routes basically.
Yeah.
What did you learn at Maxhosa, and also like which one would you choose if you only had one? Would you choose school, or would you choose going straight in, learning a
Industry.
skill?
I would choose school. The only reason why I would choose school is I have this understanding now, the older I am, that you don't necessarily need to use school to get a qualification, but you can use school to buy yourself time to understand what you're trying to do and use the resources. Like I say this to my younger brother all the time. You know, my younger brother makes music and he's doing like a degree in BCom in accounting. Right? And I always just say to him, I'm like, yo, if you don't want to finish the degree, you don't have to. But if I was you, I was going to stay long enough at school to figure my stuff out, you know. Like I said, school has resources. There's Wi-Fi, there's accommodation, there's people. You can build a network. So when you leave at school for that 3 years, you have a strong enough fan base to buy your product. You basically have a network of people that you could use for the rest of your life. So you have a friend, for example, who does law that can end up being your lawyer. You know, so I feel like the advantage of school or the privilege of school is that you can quickly like get people. Like for example, most of the people who support me right now are people I went to school with. You know, so I think for those reasons, not for the educational system itself, because I think most of it is just garbage and outdated. I'm not gonna lie, but so I wouldn't say school because you're going to learn this. You teach yourself a lot of things. You know, most of what I do now is not what I was taught at school. But at the same time, there's things that you do learn at school. You know, I learned, you know, the small things, man, like time management. You know, being able to submit things you need to submit on time. Being able, because those are things that you then will use for your everyday life. You know. At varsity, we came in at 8 and left at 5, you know. So you're used to those working hours, basically. Yeah, no, obviously people had freedom to do whatever they wanted. But for me, I always abided by, you know, that, this is when I need to come in. So if I didn't have stuff to do for school, I was doing my research, you know, because I also understood that for me, this wasn't it. Like, school is not where life, it's not even where life begins, really, you know. So I understood there was a life outside of this. So I needed to make sure that I built everything I needed to build. I'm going to say, as people in general, we romanticize real life, you know. And in varsity, time stands still. You don't realize, but time really does stand still. Like, you forget that there's a life after this, you know, because it's going to be Monday to Thursday, your school, then Thursday evening to Sunday afternoon. It's going out, it's having fun, it's doing all these things. And you just repeat that. And you're not really realistic about where life is going, you know?
Yeah, after that.
Yeah, exactly. So, which is something that I've been trying to do for people for a while now, where I really just always, every now and again, I'm like, yo, if this is your last year at school, around this time is when you should be preparing for your exit, because you don't want to only start trying to figure things out when you graduate, you know, because a lot of people do that, and that's how things happen, you know.
Yeah.
And I think when I was doing my first year, I was already planning my graceful exit. You know, I was like, okay, how am I going to leave this place? You know, and I didn't want that period for however long, you know, because sometimes it can be 5 years where you don't have anything to do because you weren't prepared for the next step, you know. So I think doing my internship really just taught me, like, you know, real life, man, you know, real life. It taught me that in order for you to really accomplish the things you want to accomplish, you have to really work towards them, you know. And I think it also just taught me the real side of the art industry, you know, because we always assume that, you know, as artists, all you need to do is have a great concept and then, you know. So I learned that, one, if you are building a business in the art industry, It is literally 95% about everything else around what you do and 5% about what you actually do. So if you are, let's say, a painter, you're only painting 5% of the time if you're trying to build a strong business. And 95% of the time, you're looking at businesses. Like you're looking at the business aspect of it. You're looking at, oh, these are taxes, this is that, this is, you're looking at all of that. And unfortunately, most of that you don't learn from school. So you have to figure out, I learned about, like just simple things like, okay, this is what the brand is, and this is where we trying to take the brand, and this is what we're trying to do with the brand, and this is what, those were other things that I learned, because in my head, I really just thought you just put things out on social media. It starts, if you tag the right person, and, like you really are very naive about what it takes to accomplish things, and you think you can do it. And yeah, no, it's okay for people to believe they can do things, but until you start seeing people do them, or you start seeing someone do it in front of you, now you start seeing that this thing is not child's play. This thing is not, you don't just wake up and do. There's a lot of thinking that goes into it, Yeah. I don't think a lot of people understand things like that. The fact that you need to have foresight, like those are things that I learned about. Okay, this is where you are right now as a company, or this is where you are right now as a brand, or as a person, or as a creative, whatever you call yourself. That's where you want to be in the next, let's say, 20 years. How do you get there? What are your steps? Obviously, nothing ever goes according to plan, something as simple as your target market. You might have a brand, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to sell this to young Black creators, and then only white people end up buying it. Are you now going to stop selling your product because no one really knows your target market? You can sort of guess who you want to sell your stuff to, but who buys it is not up to you. Like I said, the real side of everything. I think that was the most important thing for me, where I was like, so this is what real life is,
Yes, I love how you said you started preparing for your exit in first year. And dude, like, I think that's the advice that I wish everyone in first year could get. But then if someone were to tell you that in first year, you wouldn't get it.
You don't get it. No, you don't get it. Like, you have to understand.
Yeah, you just wouldn't get it.
For me, my second year, I thought I was the chosen one. So whoever would have come to me,
chosen one in terms of creativity.
Like, bro, I was like, you know what? And also my thing was, I was very honest about where I was creatively, So I understood that I needed to get better. I think that was my other thing. So I was like, you know what? This is where I am right now. This is where I'm trying to be, because my confidence was here. So I'm trying to get my skill set to match my confidence, So it was very hard for me to listen to people, I think it was networking, yes, and it was also just being kind to people who you didn't know were going to be kind to you back and potentially change your life. I think that was really the gist of it, is that, but you help someone just because you're helping people, You're helping someone, and that person ends up being this big deal. You're not really aware of who this person really is. You're just helping them, And they try and pay you, and you go, you know what? No, it's okay. I just want to be able to access you when I have questions and don't know. And that person goes to go tell someone that story about this kid they met and don't. And then when you meet the person who's going to give you the intention, when you're introducing yourself, they're like, yeah, no, I know you. You're like, what the hell? You know me? So that's really how it happened,
So you have Create Studios, right? So I want to know, how have you been able to manage Create Studios? How have you been able to, build a business out of that?
So most of the things that happened in my life, when you look at them, they don't make sense. Like, you're just like, what?